It is August 18th, 1587. A supply ship has just arrived at the small settlement of Roanoke on the North Carolina coast. The settlers are low on food and desperately need the supplies that are on board. But when the supply ship arrives, there is no one there. The houses were destroyed, the crops were trampled, and the colony was completely deserted. Their goal was to establish a settlement and grow crops such as tobacco, but they quickly found that farming in this area was not easy. By late August, their food supplies were running low, and they began sending messages to the supply ship, which was scheduled to arrive on September. The settlers chopped down trees and built shelters to protect themselves from the elements. When the settlers first arrived in Roanoke, they were carrying with them diseases that were common in Europe, but to which the Native Americans had no immunity. Smallpox, for example, was particularly deadly. It is possible that a disease outbreak could have wiped out the entire settlement in just a few weeks. When the supply ship arrived, it is possible that the settlers had become so discouraged with life in Roanoke that they decided to pack up and leave. However, this theory is unlikely because the settlers would have left behind a lot of valuable supplies if they had done so. But these shelters were not sufficient, and many settlers were struggling to survive by the time the supply ship arrived. However, none of these claims can be proved, and it is likely that all of the colonists are, in fact, dead. There were several Native American tribes living in the area around Roanoke, and it is possible that the settlers were captured and held hostage. However, this theory is unlikely because there is no evidence that any of the settlers were ever seen by Europeans again. The only thing left behind was a single wooden post with the word CROATOAN carved into it. If you have any information about this case, please contact the National Park Service. They would love to hear from you. And to this day, no one knows what happened to the more than 100 English colonists who settled here. One theory is that they were all killed by a single person or a small group of people. This person or group could have been an explorer from another country, a group of Native Americans, or even the crew of the supply ship. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Thank you. However, there is no evidence to support any of these theories. It seems like the entire settlement has vanished into thin air. This is the strange story of the Roanoke mystery. When the settlers finally did arrive, they found that their colony had been completely abandoned. In the summer of 1587, a group of 115 English settlers landed on the coast of what is now North Carolina. When the supply ship arrived, however, there was no one there. Everyone had vanished. The supply ship's captain searched the area and even went ashore, but he found no trace of the colonists. The only clue as to their whereabouts was a single wooden post with the word CROATOAN carved into it. The captain took this carving with him when he left, and to this day, no one knows what happened to the colonists. There are many theories about what could have happened to the settlers. Another theory is that the settlers were all killed by disease. Yet another theory is that the settlers were taken captive by Native Americans. There is also the possibility that the settlers simply abandoned the colony and moved away. Over the years, many people have come forward claiming to be descendants of the lost colonists. The fate of the Roanoke colonists remains a mystery to this day. Thank you for watching.